Welcome to the Bootleg Zones. Pepsi Optimus Prime? Are you kidding me? What a ridiculous bootleg! Oh, right. This was an officially released product. So, here we have Pepsi Optimus Prime, or Pepsi Convoy since I've got the Japanese version. There was an English release of this guy as well. The main difference was he had shorter smokestacks and he didn't come with Pepsi Twist. This box will make about half the jokes for you because, really, Pepsi-powered Convoy rolls into action to quench the thirst of all sentient beings. Wow. Thanks, Pepsi Convoy. You're the worst. I mean, best. And for any of you unaware, this isn't the first time Pepsi has been paired with Optimus Prime, because on the back of the box, they show you where the inspiration for this silliness came from. I assume that's Japanese there for yes, this really happened. So during G1, there was a mail-away order to get an Optimus Prime, and he came with a Pepsi sticker for his trailer. But other than the Pepsi stickers, there really wasn't any difference with the figure. Also, there was a Canadian version that came with a much larger Pepsi sticker that covered the whole side of the trailer. But that was hardly enough Pepsi on Prime, so much later, we got this. The collaboration between Pepsi and Convoy finally becomes a reality in 2005. Wow, I guess this is the real disaster the Transformers movie was predicting. It is the year 2005. Optimus Prime has completely sold out to Pepsi. I really do love this phrasing, though, like this was something people were waiting years for. It's like, oh man, I got my Pepsi Optimus Prime, but this isn't Pepsi enough. I need the collaboration to finally become a reality! The back of the box also shows us all the things we can do with Pepsi Prime's trailer, like put different kinds of Pepsi on it, or bottle caps. The box's design is even a combination of a G1 Transformer box and the Pepsi logo. It's just so ridiculous, you can hardly be mad at it. Though I'm sure some people were. Well, I gotta say, one of the biggest disappointments with this guy is he doesn't actually come with a real Pepsi twist. I mean, come on, guys. You could have given me a real Pepsi with my toy. Though I do find having a cardboard mock-up of a 500ml bottle of Pepsi rather amusing. I'm glad it was Pepsi Twist he came with as well. Everyone's favorite Pepsi. Except mine, Pepsi Convoy comes with a sticker sheet full of Pepsi logos, if the toy wasn't Pepsi'd up enough for you, I suppose. Oh, and also an Autobot logo, but who cares, right? Pepsi Convoy also comes with some transforming instructions, but more importantly, some Pepsi instructions. We also get told where some of the stickers are supposed to go, like these are supposed to go on his arms, and these are supposed to go up your ass. Pepsi Convoy also comes with a bio and tech spec card, which, wow, I've got to tell you some of the story for this guy. Pepsi Convoy has but one mission: to bring cool, refreshing carbonated beverages to the thirsty sentients across the galaxy. With his powerful CO2 gun fueled by the massive bottle station, even the mightiest of thirsts shall be quenched. He's also apparently made of sentient metal, originally developed by NASA, which, by the way, this sentient metal is also the metal that PepsiMan is apparently made out of. I'm glad Pepsi Convoy has such a cool brother with such an awesome game. There's also a storyline with this guy that I feel inclined to tell you a bit about. So in the KISS players, Galvatron apparently crashed into Tokyo, devastating the city, which gave the Japanese people a negative opinion of all Transformers, so an Autobot decided decided to become Pepsi Convoy to improve Autobot-human relations. You truly are the gift that just keeps giving, aren't you, Pepsi Convoy? Alright, so let's talk about the actual toy here and how much they Pepsi'd up the G1 Optimus Prime. As you might have noticed, the whole front of his cab is actually designed like the Pepsi logo. And he does have an Autobot logo on one side, but on the other, it's another Pepsi logo. Surprise! Also, his license plate is Pepsi, but I'm sure at this point that surprises no one. Pepsi Convoy does have a rub symbol on top of him, and while most of the time I think it'd be pretty obvious which faction Convoy belongs to, this time I'm not so sure. Oh, well, there you go. Someplace they didn't think to put a Pepsi logo. I'm pretty sure most people know how Optimus Prime transforms, and his transformation is a pretty simple one. But of course, you do have to attach Prime's hands after you've transformed him. And I've got to say, I do rather like the metallic blue they made Pepsi Convoy's hands. But, oh wow, are you serious? Little Pepsi globe on the sides of his head? You're amazing, Pepsi Convoy. There were a few different versions of Prime's gun released over the years, and as you can see, the Pepsi Prime's gun is a much fatter one than my G1 Prime's here. But I suppose it needs to be fatter because after all, it's his CO2 gun. And here's the two Primes together. I don't know, which one's your favorite? I'm sure some of you are getting mad that I keep calling him Prime when he's Convoy, but whatever. You can see any of the spots on the original G1 Prime are a much darker navy blue rather than the brighter blue on Pepsi Convoy. Also, they found a couple other spots to incorporate the Pepsi logo, so they went for it. Yes, Pepsi Prime even has Pepsi toes. Some of the later released G1 Primes came with a matrix that could go inside his chest here, so I am a little disappointed he didn't come with a Pepsi matrix of leadership. One of the differences with Pepsi Convoy, besides all the Pepsi logos, is he comes with a more raised up fist, which allows him to hold his gun straight on easier. You can still manage to do it with G1 Prime, obviously, it's just that it's a lot looser and will pop out easily. Actually, if you look really closely at the smokestacks, you can notice that Pepsi Convoys are a little bit bigger than the original G1 Primes. So yeah, Pepsi Convoy gets to have a good laugh at poor old Pepsi Prime's stupid short smokestacks. All because children in North America can no longer handle smokestacks that are slightly bigger, apparently.
Oh man, which one's the real Optimus Prime? I know, my clone is so exact it's hard to tell. It's a very tough question indeed, Bumblebee. Bumblebee? Well, Prime usually does know my name, but I guess that doesn't raise too many red flags. I know the only way we can figure out which one's the real Optimus Prime: a race! This is why no one liked you as a leader, Hot Rod. Thank you for bringing me my trailer, Hauler. Hauler? Come on, that's barely even a real Autobot.
So yeah, obviously the trailer was almost completely reworked for Pepsi Convoy. Pepsi Prime / Convoy kind of lacks as much arsenal as the original Optimus Prime's trailer had. Now it's a completely open trailer with spots to hold either bottles or cans. So here's Pepsi Convoy as he's meant to be. But seeing as this is G1 Prime, let's kick it old school. Or retro, even.
Pepsi is the right of all sentient beings.
And I know I'm not the first person to make that joke. I feel bad that I don't have Pepsi Twist to put in this guy, but I got a Pepsi Lime. That's close enough, right? And that was sometimes called Pepsi Twist. Alright, Pepsi Convoy, bring me all the Pepsis that I can't actually easily get anymore, but I still have cans of because, okay, I guess cherry Pepsi isn't that hard, it's just less convenient. And now look what you did. You've just got me blathering on about Pepsis. Way to go.
Little does he know that was my plan the whole time.
You know what? Just for that, looked at that old silly edition with a mail-away order prime and then took it to the max. Pepsi Max, that is. Ooh, what a twist! Just got the bonus of the super silly Pepsi advertising all over it. So partially its quality, but mostly its ridiculousness is what brought home the Pepsi. The Transformers! Cola meets the mouse. Autobots wage their Pepsi to destroy the evil Coca-Cola of the Decepticons. The Transformers! Pepsi Prime! One shall go thirsty, one shall not. Why quench your thirst so recklessly? That's a question you should ask yourself. Ow! I'll drink you with my bare hands! No, you don't, Megatron! Get your stupid sugar-free tab out of the way, Hot Rod! Fall! Fall! Do I get to be leader now? Hot Rod's a traitor! Sounds like a relinquishing of command to me! The Pepsi Twist is mine! Autobots, follow me! Rodimus Pepsi! We won! Beach coma? What the hell? I thought you got dropped into the acid cola in Arceacron!
Wow, in this new Pepsi generation of Cybertron, I'm so filled up on Pepsi, I'm almost a Pepsi bug!
And that's exactly who you'll be from now on, Pepsi Bug.
Didn't you die?
Tell that to all the crying kids who didn't get their Pepsi. Well, I'm more of a 7-Up guy myself. What?
I absolutely loved the Classics line back when that first started coming out because it was more cartoon accurate versions of some of the G1 characters. Though like I mentioned, finding certain characters in the Classics line got a little annoying, then it stopped being the Classics line, you had to get these type of figures in the Universe line, and then I think later on Generations or something. The main point being, there were a few lines you had to try and keep track of when it came to getting these type of figures. And the line kinda kept changing in Japan as well. The Seeker Aces set was released under the Transformers United line, but these figures were all originally released under the Henkai line. And I'm sure I said that perfectly. The Seeker Aces triple pack was actually an Asian exclusive, and there are a few differences between these figures and their original release. Now I gotta say how awesome the artwork is on this thing. This is an amazing depiction of the 3 original Seekers. And I can't help but love how badass Starscream looks on here. Look at him just leading his guys into battle. Probably against Megatron because he tripped and he's declaring himself
The new leader!
We got kind of an interesting quirk here on the box with the Takara Tomy logo on the front of it, but then we've got Hasbro markings on the bottom. However, there's a sticker covering some of it up with it saying Tomy again. I do really like how this box works too, with just this flap here with the artwork that you can open up and then get a view of the figures. And on the flip side of the front of the box, you get a pretty cool shot of the 3 jets flying through the air. On the back of the box, we get the tech specs and profiles of the 3 characters, all in English, so that's kinda nice. It is a little strange though how they block off transform every single time, so all you can see is Tran behind the 3 characters. I always loved how little sense some of these tech spec stats actually made when you really looked at them. Like, according to these, Thundercracker is the dumbest of the three, and Skywarp is the most intelligent. And I happen to know most of the time with Skywarp's bio, it usually says the opposite. But they must have changed it, otherwise that wouldn't make a lot of sense, right? Not terribly bright. Oops. Wow. You gotta love that. Intelligence 9. Not terribly bright. If he was bright, he would have had 10, clearly. Starscream's bio mentions his many attempts to overthrow Megatron, but I think my favorite part is he considers himself the most handsome of the Decepticons. Oh, I'm certainly not going to disagree with that. I mean, look at that face gimmick. Wait, his face is a gimmick? The bold Seeker face has been perfectly recreated. Look at that handsome devil. He is way more handsome than Thundercracker, even though his bold Seeker face has also been perfectly recreated. And then, of course, we've got that bold, super intelligent, but not very bright Skywarp face. It's a nice little touch as well that they've got that G1 grid background behind the jets here. Here the trio are in their jet mode, and I'm absolutely loving how these three look. They're painted so accurately to their cartoon models. Now here's a shot of the Seeker Ace's Starscream up against his classic Starscream counterpart. You can see that the Seeker Ace's one is painted much more accurately than the original Classics guy. Now I still do really like Classic Starscream, but it is odd how different his paint job was compared to the character he was trying to emulate. And I gotta say, I just really like seeing the two Decepticon logos on the wings like this. On the Classics guy, you only get one. Sorta. It was cool and all that they were doing the rub symbols again on these guys, but their placement kind of left something to be desired, as on Starscream here, this just seems a little randomly slapped on. There's also a few points where they went more for G1 toy accuracy, like the blue tip on the nose cone, whereas this one's got the Decepticon logo on the nose cone like the cartoon. Sometimes, when they felt like putting it there anyway. To really nitpick as well, you can see black for part of Starscream's head mode in his jet mode on the Classics guy, where you can on the Seeker Aces one. Also, the shade of gray is slightly different on these two, with the Classics guy being a little more blue in hue versus the Seeker Aces a bit more yellowish tone. Skywarp and Thundercracker have had the same treatment versus their Classics counterparts, though Thundercracker in that line was a little more accurate, he just didn't have the Decepticon logos on the wings. One of the things I really liked that they added in jet mode was these Decepticon logos on the bottom side of the wings as well, just as another nice little touch. Transforming these guys is a fairly simple task, which I guess is good for me considering they list it as an easy transformation. You just pull down Starscream's legs, pop his feet out, flip the wings in. One of the more kind of tricky-ish parts, I suppose, with this transformation is kind of popping the fuselage into the chest area when he's in robot mode, but overall it's not too bad. And you just pull out the arms from the sides of jet mode, and their fists just easily rotate out from inside. And now to transform Skywarp and Thundercracker. There! I assume you guys are cool with that. I promise their transformations aren't that much different than Starscream's. So one of the major differences with the figures in the Seeker Aces set versus their Henkai releases is they've got a much more metallic paint job. And I absolutely love it. These three look awesome with that. It is funny to me how much I like these three characters, even though Skywarp and Thundercracker kinda got the shaft later on in the series. Hell, one of the last times Thundercracker even said anything in the show, he didn't even have the right voice. And after the movie, Skywarp got turned into Cyclonus and Thundercracker into Scourge. maybe, probably, whatever. I guess I've also always been kind of a sucker for recolor characters because, I mean, Mortal Kombat did the same thing with the ninjas and I loved them as well. Now, while I do absolutely love this mold for the Seeker characters, it does kind of have a couple flaws to it. One being that it's kind of hard to move the arms without having them bump into the wings. But they did at least think about that a little, and the wings easily bend back when you've got their arms more straightforward like this. Another little nitpick about the wings is when they're in robot mode, their Decepticon logo is actually upside down. Though those are usually covered up by the arms, which is another little nitpicky thing that I don't really like. On the actual G1 toy for Starscream, you could easily see the Decepticon logos on the wings, and they're the right side up. Of course, his wings were lower than they were on the cartoon model, so you can't have everything. Unless, of course, you get the Masterpiece toy, whatever. And you know, I always liked Starscream, Skywarp, and Thundercracker, but I never really cared for the cone heads. And in G1, those were pretty much the exact same toy. They had some different wings and stuff, but here's how you made a cone head versus a regular Seeker. Ta-da! Cone Scream!
Ramjet has fallen! I, Cone Scream, am now your dunce cap leader!
I always assumed off-screen that Starscream, since he's the air commander, probably sent Coneheads on stupid missions that he didn't want to bother Skywarp or Thundercracker with. Because they were totally buddies all the time in the series, right? Whatever. Alright, now let's compare Aces and Classic Starscream a bit in robot mode. Once again, you can see there are a couple details on Classic Starscream that seem to emulate the G1 toy more than the cartoon model. Like the kind of goldish spot on his kneecaps is a bit more like the stickers on G1 Starscream. Also, the golden detailing inside his shoulders again remind me of a sticker on the G1 toy. Now, because there was that little black spot on the nose cone in his jet mode, Classic Starscream does look a little better from a profile-y shot like this. However, straight on, yeah, I feel like there's no real contest and the Aces Starscream's face looks much better. I guess I can't really argue with the bold Seeker face has been perfectly recreated. And while just pretty much all over, I in general prefer the Aces Starscream, I do kind of like this blue detailing on his shoulder cannons that is just flat gray on the Aces one. And it's kind of funny too that with the more metallic-y color scheme on the Aces guys, that this is the one that has the metallic-y coloring on the shoulder cannons. Though my Classic guy came with two cannons for the same arm, meaning the design that's facing forward will never match with them. So while this is a bit more accurate, it is a little flat looking. If they just had the chromed stuff at the top, it'd look nicer. But hey, at least I didn't get two for the same arm this time. I will admit that's not something I really thought about with my Classic Starscream before, but now that I see it, it bugs me. Overall, Aces Starscream's paint job is just a lot nicer than the original Classics one. Not that I dislike Classic Starscream, he's been my favorite Starscream that I've had for years. It's just, this is my new favorite.
Aw, Starscream, we just got our original bodies back. Do we really have to help you with another harebrained scheme to try to overthrow Megatron?
You two owe me for tricking stupid Unicron's head again into turning you two back, so yes! Don't worry. I think this plan of Starscream's will work out just fine, Thundercracker.
Treacherous as always, aren't we, Starscream? You were saying, Skywarp?
Oh, my tech spec lied to me. I'm not that bright. Megatron? Is that you?
Yes, of course it is, Starscream. How could you possibly not recognize Megatron?
Because you're a tank suddenly.
But this body is an homage to my brilliant Generation 2 toy because my gun form was too dangerous. I'd say you're looking awful geeky right now, Megatron. Silence, Thundercracker, or I'll make you watch our enhanced stories with the Cybernet Space Cube.
I didn't think those were that bad.
This is why no one respects your opinion, Skywarp. If they'd made me a tank, then those stories would have been worth something.
Yeah, you were listening to me a lot when I was Cyclonus, you crazy bastard. How did you turn back from Galvatron anyway, Megatron?
That's a really simple story, actually.
Well?
Hey, look, Ramjet's here!
I'm loyal to Megatron. Starscream sent me on too many grocery energon trips.
Oh no, Ramjet! We surrendered, don't we? Do we really? No.
And don't you dare forget, Starscream! Ramjet stole Skywarp's color scheme in Generation 2!
How does that help you?
Decepticons, retreat!
Oh, classic. That's exactly what I was going to say.
What the Cybernet Space Cube shit?
What the fucked is the fucked of PepsiMan? This is just so Japan, isn't it? I always love how out there some Japanese marketing is and how they'll do things that they know is silly, like PepsiMan, but still, some things about this have me asking, what the fuck? This is not fact!
The fucked of PepsiMan!
No, seriously, guys. The fucked of PepsiMan. This thing seriously says the fucked of PepsiMan. Now, if you really want to know what fucked means, well, according to Urban Dictionary, fucked means fucked. Now, besides that bit of obviousness, fucked could also be an acronym for failed under continuous testing. I don't know if that's the best marketing strategy to say that your mascot is failed under continuous testing, but it's the thing that fits the best, besides him being fucked. Seriously, PepsiMan, what the fucked? Okay, I think I almost have that out of my system now, so let's talk about some of the other funny things on this guy. One being that this figure is apparently supposed to smell of Pepsi Cola, which better mean he's going to smell like classic Pepsi and not newer Pepsi. But yes, the fact, or I guess I should say fucked, that this guy is supposed to smell like Pepsi is kind of amazing. And just in case you thought I was making this video under the wrong show, prepared under the authority of PepsiCo as part of their ad toy series, which I guess was a thing. They did get a good company to make these things too, as these were made by Bandai in 1998. And that was the first year for the blue Pepsi can, which explains why we still got the white 90s Pepsi can with this guy. You guys are pretty lucky to be seeing this too, as it was a secret model and limited edition. Though that is a little true at this point, as this 1998 figure is a little hard to find now. He's also an Ultra Free Pose figure, which I suppose is supposed to mean he's articulated. Now, even though this toy smells of delicious Pepsi Cola, you don't eat him, as Pac-Man apparently found out. I don't know about the lips thing there, PepsiMan. It makes you look a little bit like a blow-up sex doll. As seen on TV! do they mean this figure was on TV, or do they just mean snowboarding was on TV? PepsiMan TM is such a refreshing guy that he delivers Pepsi Cola to thirsty people. He can pop up Pepsi Cola with schwa action and deliver them around everywhere. According to reliable sources, he is a promoter of Pepsi Cola Company. Really? I thought PepsiMan might be a Coke guy. And PepsiMan TM is also such an athlete that he is good at all kinds of sports. Especially, he is so into sideways riding sports such as surfing, snowboarding, skateboarding, etc. He is very confident of his physical ability. His physical ability, like taking a Pepsi. That's right, PepsiMan has Pepsi holding action. And while we've still got the white can on here, check this out. Coming soon, new blue PepsiMan. And don't forget, now available head change action figure PepsiMan. Well, this fucking one also comes with 2 heads, so I assume he's a headmaster as well. Unless he just likes carrying the heads of his enemies. Though it does look like that one has the power of squeezing his legs and he'll tell you to stop in the name of Pepsi. But just so you know, they are not included in this package. Good old PepsiMan USA, where he wasn't really used for marketing. This is one of the older age recommendations I've seen from a toy. Guess you don't want the really young ones getting high on the Pepsi fumes of the fucked. Now, my favorite thing on the card, besides fucked of course, is them showing off PepsiMan's snowboarding action. Wow, cool action!
Now developing new model.
Oh my god. Apparently, PepsiMan was a little overconfident of his physical ability. But yes, this PepsiMan figure really comes with a crutch and a cast. Alright, here's PepsiMan Unleashed, and he definitely smells, and I wouldn't say that it doesn't smell like cola, but it's kind of more like if Pepsi was a perfume, if that makes sense. There's just definitely a perfumey smell about this guy, while it also making me think of cola, but I don't think I'd want to drink this one. I do particularly like this fucked up PepsiMan's look with the kind of gradient from the silver going into the cola color. And he does actually come with a small little chain around his neck, which is awesome. And he definitely does have the ultra free pose action. This guy is highly articulated. I mean, hell, this guy even has chest articulation. This pose is definitely missing something, though. There we go. It wasn't quite Pepsi enough at first, which is a little fucked. Stop saying that. This PepsiMan figure is already pretty damn awesome, but I've got to say, just from handling him this little bit, he's already made my fingers smell of PepsiMan, and smelling the PepsiMan stuff off my fingers reminds me a little bit of, weed. Looks like someone got fucked. I apparently can't stop. PepsiMan's feet just pop off their ball joint at the bottom so that you can stick them in his snowboard boots. And those are also cola colored. I get the feeling that PepsiMan's trying to sell me on something. Must be on snowboarding, the most Pepsi of activities. Well, the snowboard is a little fucked as its pegs are shit. Look at this fucked shit. The peg just popped out from PepsiMan falling over with them in it, so that's real fucking impressive. Though I suppose I can't be too mad when I'm looking at this cola-infused sentient metal snowboarding while drinking a Pepsi. The snowboard's design is kinda generic looking, but I do love the underside of it with PepsiMan giving a thumbs up. Look, PepsiMan even signed it! Well, that makes up for the peg breaking off. I'm so confident of my physical ability! Oh my god. He'll never snowboard again. This really was the fucked of PepsiMan. And of course, his cast and crotch are both cola colored as well, because PepsiMan's got to have a little fun, even though his life is now fucked. And yeah, get any un-Pepsi thoughts out of your heads, guys. Those lips are for nothing but Pepsi, okay? I just love so much that PepsiMan comes with a cast and a crutch. It's so ridiculous and it's great. And then PepsiMan just sits around, I suppose, drinking Pepsi on the couch and gets fat. Forced to just have to sit there and look at his past and weep. This truly was the, oh, you know by now, of PepsiMan. 1.5 liter? What the fucked? Because the fucked of PepsiMan is one hilarious figure.
PepsiMan, it's me, your sentient Pepsi metal brother, Pepsi Prime. For the love of Pepsi Twist, you need to get out of this slump.
I can't, Pepsi Prime. I made a huge mistake, and I'll never snowboard again because of it.
We all make mistakes sometimes, PepsiMan. The thing is to learn and grow from them.
You don't understand what I've done to myself, and I'm going to be forever left with this cast as a reminder.
So what? You were a little overconfident. It happens to the best of us.
It wasn't just my overconfidence in my abilities that led me to this fate, Pepsi Prime. Before I went snowboarding that day, I was a little curious about something, and I did something horrible.
Whatever you did, PepsiMan, it doesn't need to define your life, and I'm sure you can move beyond it.
I just wanted to know what it tasted like once, so I had a Coca-Cola.
Oh my god.
I'm so sorry!
Not good enough. Prepare to get CO2'd to oblivion!
Could this really be the fucked of PepsiMan? Yes it is.
Watching, and we'll see you in the morning. MAGA.